Not too long ago, I was working with a bookkeeper named Lisa. Now, she was already working with incredible clients and she was networking, she was getting referrals, she was doing all the things that she needed to do to grow her business. But she said to me one day, Jessica, I just wish this was a little bit easier. I just feel like I have to work so hard all the time to find clients. So I took a look at her schedule, how her week broke down, and uncovered some opportunities that she was completely overlooking. So much so that later that week, she went to a soccer game for one of her kids, struck up a conversation with one of the parents, and that parent ended up becoming a client. And that's when it dawned on Lisa, wait a second, clients aren't just at conferences or networking events, they're everywhere. And that's what I want to show you in today's video. I'm going to unpack how you can, at any point, no matter where you are, strike up conversations with people and find paying clients. And before we get into today's content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if these videos are supporting you and your business. Now, the beautiful thing about the strategies I'm going to teach you in today's video is that once you learn how to spot them, growing your business and finding paying clients is going to become so much easier. And really, there's just four simple things you have to do. And you can do these things right now with the resources you have and the skills you have. The first is about shifting your perspective. Now, when I first got started in business, I literally thought that my business was over here in this box and everything else, my everyday life, my social relationships, was over here in this box. And I didn't think that the two of them ever crossed boundaries or ever combined in any way. And the thing you have to realize about business is that it's not just that clients are just networking events and they only exist there and they only congregate in those scenarios. It's that they're everywhere. And so you have to stop thinking that sales happens in some artificial bubble and only when your ideal clients are congregating together. And so if you go out thinking, I might find someone, I might meet someone, I might strike up a business relationship with someone. All of a sudden, your mind opens up to seeing, well, it doesn't matter if I'm at my kid's soccer game. It doesn't matter if I am going to a barbecue. I can find opportunities anywhere. And so I would say the first step is just shifting that perspective and opening up your mind to seeing that it's not just that your business exists Monday through Friday and only in this bubble over to the side. It permeates every part of your life. And that's actually a really good thing because you just never really know who you're going to meet. So when you just have that perspective, the other three steps are going to be so much easier for you to implement. Now, the second is you have to show interest in talking to people. Now, I get it when you are at the end of a long day and you have a lot of commitments. You just want to head into the grocery store, get what you need to get, and then go home. Or maybe you just want to go to your kids' practice and you want to read a book or scroll through your phone and you're not really interested in connecting with people. Now, the thing about this second step is you don't necessarily have to be super extroverted or that outgoing. I'm quite introverted myself. But really, all you're demonstrating is an interest in connecting with people and talking with them. And so, what that looks like is you just have to be open to striking up a conversation. So, for example, I was at the grocery store. I remember this example so vividly last year. I still love going to the store. I don't do the curbside takeout or curbside pickup. And I was waiting in the checkout line. I put all my stuff on the conveyor belt and I just started talking with the woman behind me. She commented on something that was in my basket, very, very kind compliment. And she was just saying, oh, I'm from out of town. I'm here for this conference. And so we just started talking about what she was doing and how she came about coming to where I live, the town where I am, why she was here, what she was excited about. And normally I could have just faced forward. I could have just focused on the cash register person getting my groceries through the line into the bag so I could pay and get out of there. But that interaction only took maybe a matter of moments and it didn't require me to, invest a ton of energy. I didn't have to reveal all these details about myself. And so I think when you first have that perspective of, I might be able to find opportunities anywhere, right? I'm just going into the grocery store. I don't know who I'm going to meet or interact with or who I'm going to see. And the second is just showing interest in talking with people, just being even a little bit open. And that a lot of times is just your body language. If you're just kind of smiling at someone or talking with someone, and this sounds so obvious, but a lot of times we're so engrossed in our phones. We're so into, just getting from one place to the other that I could have missed talking to that woman. And we ended up connecting on LinkedIn and we've done some fabulous connecting and networking there. Now, don't expect to go to the grocery store or the soccer practice or the barbecue and say, I'm going to close a client at this. That's not what I'm trying to say here. What I'm trying to say is that you just never know, and just being open, who knows? That woman could have said, it's so interesting that this is what you do, Jessica. I actually would love to collaborate. Maybe you could come on my podcast. You don't know. You just never know. And so just being open in those instances, you're never going to know what opportunities are going to come your way. Now, the third is ask questions and be curious. So this is an extension of number 2. So not only are you interested in just having a conversation with someone, you're also trying to keep a conversation going. So this is just being naturally curious and kind of journalistic in your approach to having a conversation with someone. So I'll give you another example. A couple years ago, I lived downtown in the city where I live, and I had this amazing apartment, and my landlords were retiring and they were coming back to live in our apartment. And so they said, we're going to have our real estate agent come in because, we're thinking of possibly selling it, but we don't know. Are you open to being there, on Tuesdays for him to come by and maybe do some showings? So he comes in and we just start talking, and we just started a conversation about how long he was in real estate and what kind of real estate he loved selling and how he met my landlords. And then he just started, talking to me about asking me what I do and how I, got into my business. And so I could have just said, yeah, I'll be there Wednesday. I let the guy in and I go hang out in my office and I completely ignore him. Or just being naturally interested in talking with people and then having kind of this journalistic approach showed him, wait a second, this is someone who seems to be interested in what I'm doing. I'm now interested in talking to her about what she does. And get this, I ended up getting an introduction from him to his sister who owned an Etsy shop, and she was so overwhelmed with orders that he was like, oh my gosh, you're a business consultant. You've got to talk with my sister. She's got this Etsy shop. It's taking over her living room. The two of you need to talk with each other. And then within a month, she became a client. And so who knows? I probably wouldn't have met her otherwise. We weren't connected on social media. I wasn't meeting her at any networking events. I just happened to meet her because my landlord's real estate randomly had to show our apartment because they were thinking of selling it. And so when you have that perspective, I don't know what opportunity could come my way. And I'm going to be open. I'm going to be interested in talking to people, and I'm going to be curious about what they do, because if I'm curious about them, they're going to be curious about me, and we're going to strike up a conversation that way. And the final one, which really it's not the last thing you do necessarily, but this is what's really going to push it over the line from someone just being fun to talk to and someone who's interested in connecting with you, to someone who's like, ooh, you need to talk with my sister about her Etsy shop, or I want to have a conversation with you about you potentially being on my podcast, or I would love to set up a time for us to talk further. Well, this was just being able to talk about your business. Now, I'm going to relieve some pressure from you, because I think sometimes a lot of business owners feel that, well, if I'm going to talk to people about my business, I have to have something memorized. I have to have this elevator pitch put together. And don't do any of that. Part of what I truly believe makes someone so successful in business and in sales is that they can connect with a person first, that they can connect just person to person, instead of trying to say like, well, now I'm in this artificial situation for business, and so I have to memorize this thing that I was told to memorize. Ignore that. Instead, just be able to talk about your business casually. So if someone says, like in the real estate agent example, he said, well, Jessica, tell me what you do. Like, you seem really curious about real estate. And I just simply said, I'm a business consultant. I help business owners find more clients. I help them grow their business. I help them make more money without all the stress and headaches. That is not any rigid, structured, I help statement elevator pitch. That's just saying this is what I do, enough to pique their interest where they're like, oh, that's really interesting. I'd like to talk further about that. Or you've got to talk to so-and-so. And they take it from there. So think about your business and how would you just describe it to somebody in a way that is so fundamentally easy to do. And you can use AI, you can use tools like ChatGPT to really simplify this, so you could say this to anybody. Even if they have no idea what it is that you do, get some support in translating that into a very, very simple description when someone asks you, well, tell me about what you do and how do you do things and how do you help people? Because when you can do that, that's again where you take it from, this was a person who was nice to talk with, or it was so cool to meet that person randomly at the grocery store, to a business opportunity. And I'll give you one final example that really ties all of this together. So this was a few years before 2020, and we were moving out of our office. We had an in-person office at the time, and we didn't renew the lease, so we were moving all of our stuff out. And wouldn't you know, just randomly, the owner of the spot next door, who happened to be a dentist, was walking out to his car, saw me moving some boxes, and said, "Hey, it's so nice to meet you. I can't believe we've never met until you guys are moving out." We just struck up a conversation, and he was like, "Oh, that's interesting. I always saw your logo. Like, what is it that you guys do?" And just being able to just be open to the conversation, make eye contact with him, and show like, hey, I'm interested in connecting. And two, just talking to him about his business and how great it's funny that we have been side by side this whole time and we've never met each other. And then being able to answer that question about what I do. He ended up becoming a client for a year, and we helped expand his dentist practice to multiple properties. And so you really never know. And so I'm encouraging you at the end of this particular video to think about, I can't just rely on just going to networking events or just getting referrals. Like, if I open up my mind to seeing opportunities and accepting opportunities outside of just strictly business events, my business is going to grow exponentially. And this is going to become not only just easier, but it's going to become a lot more fun, because I guarantee you that you went into business because you like helping people and you want to support people. And this is one of the ways that you can do that. Now, at this point in the video, you might be asking yourself, well, wait a second, how do I describe what I do? How do I take the incredible work that I do and just make it sound so natural and so easy to talk about that it would grab somebody's attention to either want to work with me directly or refer someone to me? Well, don't get in your head. Don't overcomplicate this. Go to the link in the description. Let's grab a time to talk with one another so that you can very easily and very naturally talk about what you do and start bringing in clients no matter what situation you're in.